All right, so we are doing a Think Aloud for the Building a Service Catalog website. And so let me go ahead and go to the home page here. The first thing that I notice is that the website is very, very clean. Um, I like the overall look. I like the images that are used. As I scroll down, I can see the Lone Star College goals that have been listed, and I can see that here these have been highlighted as it says over here to best explain what basically applies towards this particular package. So that is definitely very nice that that has been explained. As I continue down, I can see that we have a nice use of white space, very nice use of images and pictures. One of the things that I see here is that we do need a "the" right here in between. Leinster College identified that if the Information Technology Department can present their services, so just need to add a simple word there. Again, I like the use of the images that we have going on here. The goal for this training package is to teach IT employees how to clearly identify and describe IT services in a way that faculty and staff can understand. So again, very nicely worded, very, very to the point as far as what the instructional goal is for this website. And here I see that we have the instructional objectives. So again, very nice, very nicely laid out, very clearly defined. IT personnel will be able to define the parts of the services. We'll be able to develop a list of 4 services. We'll be able to create at least 2 behind-the-scene workflows. So again, I really like all that. When I was teaching, I had a principal that always emphasized the verb. He said, always look at the verb, and that's always stuck with me. So I like that the verbs are very clear as to what the objectives are for the student. So when I get to the bottom here, I can see that there is a feedback panel right off the bat. Not sure about having the feedback right in the front. It may be something that would be better placed under the contact button after the person has gone through the entire website. But otherwise, it's a very nice and, again, very simple but very elegant layout for the feedback panel. So when I click on the instruction button, it takes me directly to the instruction part. So that is very convenient. It's basically allowing me to go through the sequence as it was meant to go through. So as I'm going down, I see that we have information about a training package document. Let's see here. So click here to view the documents. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And I can see that the Google Doc does open up so that I can take a look at the training document that's been used. I would recommend that maybe a copy of this get used that does not have the comments on there, since this will be published. I'm not really sure if you would want to have all those comments on there for public viewing. So that would definitely be something that I would consider. I definitely love the flowchart. I'm a big flowchart person, and I really like the layout of the flowchart. I really like how the flowchart is going from one objective to the other. I think it is a really nice way to see how each item ties in and basically scaffolds the learning. So I think that is an excellent addition. And so I can see that the objectives are there, and I can see what the process is that we have, and of course the final um, activity. So when we get to the bottom, now we go to preparation. So again, it is basically leading us into a sequence. Again, I really do like that. I like how that goes. In case anybody gets lost, the sequence is pretty much right there, so it's not difficult to follow. And so I can see that, we have our course preparation. So what kind of technology um, we are going to need. Excuse me. Let's see here. We definitely are going to require, we're going to have some collaboration going on. Um, let's see here. So basically, some things that we, as it states, some preparation that we have going on. So the activities are outlined in the training page. So looks like I can click here and go to the training plan, but I'm going to go back so that I can finish looking at the rest of this page. Okay, so let's see here. So we have various interactive student activities, which is always good to keep students busy and learning. Okay. And in order for preparation, I see that I do have some handouts. So that is good. And they open up in their own window. So that is very, very convenient. So there's handout 1. And here's handout 2. So far so good. We have nice little handouts that we can use for, oh, this one's 6 pages. It looks like this handout may need to be put in landscape as opposed to portrait. It looks like part of it got cut off, and so as a result, the formatting has messed up. So that is just a simple layout feature that may need to be fixed. So let's go and take a look at the workflow handouts then. So for the workflow handouts, it looks like the same situation may have happened where the handouts need to be in, for this particular one, may need to be in landscape as opposed to portrait. This one's 6 pages, so I'm going to assume it's the same thing. Same thing, it's going to need to be horizontal as opposed to vertical to make sure that all of that can fit on there, because it's cutting it off in a weird fashion, which is, of course, making the handouts a bit awkward. So that's something that may need to be fixed. I do like, however, how the handouts do open up in a separate monitor or separate screen, if you will, sorry, which again makes it very nice, because sometimes when that doesn't happen, it can make it easy to accidentally close the website. So I do like that part about that. So let's see here. So as we're going, we can see that we have our prompts, and we have our objectives as well as our disaster plan if something doesn't work. And of course, we have our technology support. So I really like that as well. Since we're dealing with a technology oriented lesson, we want to make sure that we have all bases covered. Let's see here. Oh, grammar, just a little grammar thing. Once the class is finished, the trainer ensures that all technology is turned off and placed back into the charging cart. So going to need a period at the end there, and you're just going to need to add an S here to the end of that word. So when I get down to the bottom, I go to my training plan. So I go to the next part of the sequence. And so here I'm in the training plan. And so I can see the Google Doc once again, but as we've already mentioned, that is something that may need to be just, like I said, made a copy of to attach to here so that it does not have um, the comments on there for public consumption. So we have the objectives and all the activities, which are color coded. So again, that is nice that we have our color coding going on. Let's see here. What is service catalog is. That should actually be an R-A-R-E since we have a plural here. I think one of the things that maybe needs to be examined is consistency with capitalization. One of the things I'm seeing here is that there's the use of the word service catalog, and it's lowercase here as well as here, but then in this particular case, it is capitalized. So I would definitely recommend some consistency as far as if it's going to be capitalized and it needs to be capitalized, but if it's going to be lowercase, which I actually like it better lowercase, then I think it needs to all be lowercase, unless it was, of course, the title of something. So we can see that we have more sequencing. I like the time frames added, so that the trainer or teacher has an idea of how long each of these lessons will take. So that's very, very nice. Let's see here. I do like the flowcharts. Again, I think that is very handy. Define what is a risk and discuss and review. So again, we have a nice simple flowchart. Let's see here, complete the online assessment. Okay, so in this particular case, it does not look like the quiz pops out. And so I can start the quiz, but I do see that it has all the questions here in one place. Again, I'm definitely seeing some just minor grammatical errors, like performed. I think that some consistency with the capitalization. If service is going to be capitalized, it needs to be capitalized always. Otherwise, it needs to be lowercase always. Same thing with customers. I think that customers needs to be lowercase or capitalized in all instances. I personally prefer the lowercasing of it, but it needs to be consistent. Let's see here. By facilitating customers want to achieve with us. Okay. Select from the following the essential parts of a service. All right. Can one service have multiple requests? I think we need an S there. Let's see here. We have service misspelled on number 6. It says service C. Okay. Let's see here. A service offering is a specific way of delivering service based on given technology or service level. That one's a little awkwardly worded, but otherwise. So just some grammatical errors. I would definitely have this as a pop out just because otherwise you have to hit the back button. And same thing here, we have a critique activity, but it doesn't open in its own separate screen. So again, a person may have to do the activity, print it out, and then or save it before they can go back to the website, because otherwise, if you just close this, then you'll also end up closing out the website. So that's something that maybe you want to be looked at. Oh, okay. So this is another hyperlink. So we have a self-reflection. I love self-reflections. I think those are very valuable for learning. Again, I would recommend that it be a pop-out. The other thing I would do is also recommend that maybe all hyperlinks need to be either bolded or a completely different color or italicized, only because I was not aware that this was a hyperlink when looking at it until I hovered over it and then I saw the little hand come up. So I think that the hyperlinks should be put into different, because I just had a hyperlink here, but oh, there it is. So again, just for ease of viewing, I would probably put the hyperlinks in a different, either like color or italics or bolding or something along those lines. And here we have a rubric, which I love rubrics. And so we have a very nice rubric, very nicely set up, very clean, states and evaluates what the learner needs to do in order to meet the requirements of their learning, which is exactly what a rubric should do. So that's good. Okay. So objective 2. So I can see that we have our activities. And let's see here. Students will need basic Excel. Students will share. I see Excel is capitalized here, but it is not capitalized here. So that's just a minor grammatical error. Okay, so again, we have our time, which is good. Okay, so we have our objective reflection, and here we have our assessments again. And see now, because of not knowing what was a hyperlink, I'm kind of going through the entire evaluation to see what is clickable. So again, that's just something that probably needs to be just taken a look at. And then we have, of course, our objective 3. Oh, just a small little tiny spacing error here that just needs to be closed up a tiny bit. So let's see here. We definitely have nice sequencing. Okay. And again, our flow chart. So very nice. I really liked the flow chart. I like the colors. I like how clean they are. Um, and again, I see the evaluation part, and there's our hyperlink. So again, just a recommendation to have that either as a separate link and then also to differentiate the hyperlink. And then we have our choice and voice. So is there to be an only provide this? Okay. Let's see here. Very nice. All right, so going to the budget, you can take a look and see that just like what everyone likes to hear, that there is no direct cost to do this plan. So that is definitely a benefit because, of course, not really fun to have to pay for things out of pocket. Now, I am seeing here, though, that after the budget, it goes to instruction again, and I really liked the sequencing. So rather than going back to instruction, I kind of wish that once I get to this part, that it would actually go and take me to assessments because I liked how the buttons were helping me follow the logical sequence of the website. So I think that is very, very useful. And I have sort of students will complete self-reflection surveys, one for each learning objective. Okay, so this one pops out, which is very, very nice. And so this is basically the same reflection that was in the other page. So is that the same quiz then? And it looks like it is the same quiz. Okay. So, and it pops out on its own, so that's good. So what I would maybe do, because we have a repeat of our assessments on one page, which is definitely good, I would maybe put a note right here, like before we get to the assessments, that this is an assembly of all assessments in one spot for the teacher's convenience, or just something along those lines, so that the instructor and student doesn't think that these are all separate assessments from what was already under the training plan. So I think that would just be useful just to kind of make sure that they do understand that these are the same, they're just assembled in one location. And with my English teacher eye, they see what they did well and what didn't go so good that needs to also be well. So what they did well and what they didn't do so well. So that needs to be changed to well. Okay, so and I do like how the assessments are in one collected spot so that if the instructor wanted to, they could either use the training plan or they could go to the assessments page and just get everything they need as far as giving the assessments to their students. So I do like that. And here we have each of the rubrics, so that's very, very handy. And again, I see that here under the assessment section, we do not have a button, and I was really a fan of the button. So now that we are done with the assessment section, it'd be nice to see a supporting material button. And of course, leading to the supporting material just for that natural sequence. Now, I'm not going to lie, earlier I did cheat. I did actually look at the lectures earlier just for the sake of timing. And one of the things, a couple of things that I noticed was that in the prezzies, consistency with wording was also something that was needed. There were words that were capitalized that were not consistently capitalized, or words that maybe could have been lowercase instead of capitalized. So, and then just a little grammatical. Why have a service catalog that should have a question mark there? So we can see that we have some really great images, but you can see here that service catalog was lowercase in the other one, but here service is capitalized just like it is, it's lowercase here. So here it's okay because it's, of course, in the title, but in a regular text format, I think that it just needs to be consistent. It needs to either be capitalized or lowercase. Same thing with the word customer. I really, really, really like the explanation for the drawings and the flow charts and the images. When I initially saw this, before this was constructed, this image was actually very confusing to me because it had no explanation. But now that I see it in the final product and I see the explanation given, I completely understand this, even as a person who is not a technician. So I really, really appreciate the explanation that is given on there. Same thing here. I really appreciate the little bit of explanation that is given. It does make it easier to understand what I am looking at since I am not a technician. So again, we can see that service is capitalized here as well as request is capitalized here, but request is not capitalized here. So again, just consistency. I do like how the prezzies open up in their own window, and as I said before, I do like the lectures. I think the lectures are done very well, especially considering they're not super long. The first one is about 15 minutes, which is an average class lecture, and the remaining ones are 5 minutes or less, which is perfect, so that the learner does not get bored, does not get tired of looking at the videos. And that's really, really important when creating videos online. So when looking at the supporting videos, I did look at these. These are, again, very useful for creating that supporting material. The wording is a bit awkward. This video by Pink Elephant that gives a great overview of how to create a service and what thing you may want to consider when creating a service, it's a bit of an awkward sentence. So I think that just needs to be rewritten. I think it was two sentences that got maybe mushed together, and it just needs to be fixed up a bit. But the actual service videos are very, very useful. Um, and if these are the same handouts that we saw from before, which it looks like, then what we've already noted is that the layout is awkward and needs to be changed to landscape from portrait. Same thing with just example 3. The first two, let's go ahead and click on it and see if that's the same one. Yeah. So the first two are good. They look great. But the third one, if it's the same one from before, yes, that one has 6 pages. Okay, so this is it was needing to also have its layout changed. And as I scroll down, I can see that there are samples of service catalogs that a person can go to. Oh, that's very, very, very nice looking. So the samples are very nice, very organized, definitely gives an idea of what the learner should be striving for. Let's see here. So let's see what all their services are. Okay, so again, very clean. I think these are really nicely chosen examples. I think that if you're trying to teach your learner what a good service catalog looks like, I think you've picked some excellent examples here because these are very, very organized. They're very, very nice to look at. I think if it gives a very clear idea of what that final product should be. Again, just kind of wish there was a button here at the bottom. I do like the sequencing buttons, just that leads me to the next step, mainly for consistency. So let's see here. So we have our presentations, and then we have here, I think maybe just a note should be added that the prezzies are basically that these two are the same, and that this is, of course, a recorded version of what is on here, just so that, again, the learner does not feel obligated to look at both. So just a little note, little directions that just say, the left-hand column are prezzies that can be used, in class as a lecture. And then, the right-hand column are recorded lectures that can be used in class or by an isolated learner, just to differentiate the two, so that whoever's looking at the website doesn't feel obligated that they have to click on both and think that they're two completely separate things. So just a little mini note, like a sentence. And then going to contact. And there we go. We have our author of our website, which is a very nice website. I think this would be a really good place to also put a feedback box, just because obviously we're at the end of the website. So this would be a really great place. I can see that we have all of our other social media connections, so might as well go ahead and put a feedback box here for that other mode of contact for anyone that may want to give feedback regarding the website. But other than that, those few little things that were pointed out, overall, I would say that this is a very nice website. I would say that the sequencing is very nice. I really like the look of it. I do want to see the buttons so that I can have the sequencing easily done for me, but as far as that goes, I do like how the information is gathered and collected under the various sections. I think that has been really well done. And I could see, even though it talked about collaboration, I could easily see how this website could also be utilized by a solo learner, especially with having the recorded materials. I can see how a person who may not have a group to learn with could go on here and learn about a service catalog and services, and especially with the plethora of examples and video supports, um, they could go on here and really get a very clear and very good idea of what these things are. So this is definitely not just an isolated website for only one use, and I think that's really good. I think a website should have multiple uses and be able to be appealing to multiple users. So very nice.